Hey, Watchaholics! So guess what? I just finished rewatching season 1 of Bridgerton. And guys, my number one takeaway was that, wow, I did not remember anything about this season except that the Duke hated his dad. He didn't want babies. Antony was annoying. And we also found out that Penelope was Lady Whistledown. That was literally the only thing I actually remembered from this season.
Wow.
So rewatching it really felt like I was watching it for the first time because I think I haven't seen it since it first came out. I've only seen the first season once. So now, does that mean that season 1 wasn't good? To be honest, no. I actually really liked it. It was way better the second time around, So let's just straight up pop into the things that I loved about this season. The way that they really set up the future of these seasons. The second time around watching this, you see how the love story of Penelope and Colin is really going to start to play out. I never realized how much they talked about friendship until I rewatched this. They talk about friendship being the core part of a relationship, of a marriage. They also really set up Antony for his season of finding love and what's going to get in the way, which we all know is going to be the whole duty thing, right? Duty?
Not that kind of duty.
That's also kind of bubbling at the surface there. They set up Eloise and Penelope being these best friends that we know are eventually going to have a huge falling out because, the most obvious thing was that we really got to see that she actually was Lady Whistledown. You see it much more because she's the one that no one pays attention to. She's always reading her book, staring outside the window. No one chooses to dance with her. No one likes the Featheringtons. There are all these little crumbs that they really set up without us really knowing. And then, the idea that Penelope and Eloise are such good friends that in the end you're like, wait a minute, shit's gonna hit the fan eventually because clearly they're really best friends, and one is pretending to really not be who she really is, kind of in a way. She hasn't grown into who she's going to be, which I talk about in another video, about me really wanting to see Penelope grow into actually becoming who she should be, which is who this person she's created as Lady Whistledown, right? The writing, it is chef's kiss. We cannot fault the writing of this show. Ever. The declarations of love, the arc of these characters over a season, the peeling back of layers of the characters, the way we see characters lifted to this point that they're so high, everything's so great, and then they're just taken down to their worst. I never found myself bored of this season. I never really looked away from the screen. I was invested the whole time in these characters. Unlike season 2, which I did think had some faults with the writing, and I think it's because we saw a little bit too much Featherington.
She's got a point.
Too much to the point where I actually didn't really care. So that was, to me, a big major fault. But that's for a whole other video. My friends. But, one of my favorite moments, talking about writing was, and of course, it's about love declarations because, I love those. When Simon tells Queen Charlotte about how he really feels about Daphne, at this point, Daphne, I think it's episode 5. Daphne at this point thinks that it's just an act, that he's just saying that so that they can get married. She doesn't realize that he is actually telling the truth. But that whole scene was so well paced. It was a beautiful monologue written for Simon. It was just, oh my God, it had me in my feels because it was kind of like a love declaration, but not really. But it was done really well. In episode 1, we have Violet who tells Anthony, hey, are you the man of this house or are you this brother making his sister's life difficult? I mean, it was a great writing, and we have a lot of those moments with Violet and Antony throughout season 1 and season 2 where she really steps up, and I think it's the writing. I mean, obviously credit to the actors because they really deliver on these, which gets me into my next thing, the actors.
Oh my God! Wow!
Most of the actors are absolutely fantastic to watch in the season. And something that I generally love about Bridgerton is watching these English actors that have a theater background really, really shine. Like Lady Danbury, played by Adjua Endoa. I don't want to pronounce these names wrong. I'm so sorry. Queen Charlotte, who's played by Golda. They just have this presence on screen that shows that they come from the theater. They are from the theater. And I'm from the theater myself, so I can just I just know right away when someone is an actor who's done theater. There's just something different about their acting, something with they carry themselves. You can just tell. I mean, a lot of English actors are theater actors. They have that as a background, and I think that's what makes them so good at what they do. Jonathan Bailey, another one. Oh my God, I could talk about Jonathan Bailey all day long, but
Talented, brilliant, incredible.
my God, he is so good at portraying so much emotion with just his eyes in just a single moment. You know what the character's thinking without him even saying it. You know, we have that moment when he goes to Sienna's door at the end of season 1 to bring her to the ball and she denies him. Oh, what a fantastic scene. Or when Violet, like I said, puts him in his place, it's all read in his eyes how he feels in that moment. You know, he doesn't say anything, but a lot of also that scene really sets him up for season 2, and we see that moment of why he decides he has to put duty above all else. And you know, it's a great scene with Violet, but then it also just puts all this pressure on him because she tells him, she's like, are you the man of this house or are you just a little boy? And he's like, oh fine, well, if I'm the man of the house, then I have to put duty above all else. I can't be falling in love with people. I have to just focus on my family and put them first. It's all stemming from that, right? Then we have the costumes, and we cannot deny that the costumes on this show are amazing. I mean, the wigs. And they only get better as the seasons progress, as we know. The costume detailing for each character is also something I noticed in this season specifically, because it's like a lot of introductions. But you can tell who is in which family based on the colors that they use, the design of their dresses, the way that they style their hair. It's all so well done. Like, for example, the Featheringtons, you know, they're very colorful, floral. They have this curly hairstyle thing that is so opposite to the light, you know, bluish tones that the women in the Bridgerton family wear. Their hair is very nicely placed and not just over the top like how it is with the Featheringtons, which, like I said in another video, like I could not stand the outfits, and I can't wait for Penelope to get rid of that. Like, I literally cannot wait.
That's my opinion!
The chemistry between our leads. You know, after the second watch, not gonna lie, after the second watch, I did find myself really enjoying Daphne and Simon, because I remember when I was watching season 2 for the first time and how invested I was. I remember kind of being like, damn, like, I don't remember Daphne and Simon being this good. Like, I must have not liked them as much. Like, what was it that I didn't really like about them? Because I love Anthony and Kate so much. I love the way these actors are being portrayed much more than Daphne and Simon. Like, and I don't know, I think it might be more of a Simon thing. I'm not a huge fan of his acting, I'm not gonna lie. Most of the acting on the show is fantastic, but he's one of the ones that I'm a little bit like, as the lead, I was kind of a little bit like, I wish I had a little bit more. Something was missing. He was still very good. Don't get me wrong. Jean, whatever. He was still good. I enjoyed it, but I just felt like Jonathan Bailey was a little bit of a stronger actor, unfortunately, and I think maybe that's kind of why I was overlooking the whole chemistry thing. But I'm gonna say, actually, when I rewatched it, when I rewatched it, I actually did feel the chemistry much more, especially in the earlier episodes when they have a lot of that playful banter. You know, they really solidified that they were becoming best friends and that they were comfortable with each other. And to me, those were the moments where I was really starting to really feel the chemistry between these two actors and between the characters. I think towards, like, after episode 5, I think it kind of then, you know, the show was still very good till the very end. I just felt like there was a lot more that could have been done with the characters from like episodes 6 to 8. I don't know if it's just because the characters just ended up being like, oh,
I want to have babies, but why don't you want to have babies? I just don't want to have babies, but we should have babies. Okay, fine, we'll have babies. Like,
I felt like in the end it wasn't like, I don't understand like why Simon then was like, okay, fine, we'll have babies. Like, I don't know, I felt like the turnaround was kind of, it didn't hit me as much. I don't know, that's just me. I'm kind of ranting, but anyway, to me, I felt like the chemistry was the most palpable in episodes 1 through 5. That's why I want to say it. But speaking of episodes 1 through 5, those were damn near perfection for me. Those episodes were so good. I mean, guys, after watching episode 1, I was like, damn, all of this happened in one episode. Let me remind you. The whole family, the whole Bridgerton family is introduced to us. Daphne and the Duke meet. They dislike each other. And then they also come up with the plan to fake a courtship. Anthony dates and also breaks up with Sienna. We meet Marina. She's courted. She's super duper popular. And then we also find out she's pregnant. Penelope is clearly head over heels. And to top it all, on top of all of that, we're also introduced to all of the other side characters, and it never felt rushed. Y'all, it never felt rushed. It never felt like they were rushing us to meet these characters because we only had 1 hour. It was all paced very well, episodes 1 through 5. And yeah, we had an hour. But people can easily put too much stuff in, and then you're like dragging it out. Like, I feel like every moment counted, and it was enough to actually get invested in every single Bridgerton kid. Because that's another thing. Remember, we had to introduce Benedict, we had to introduce Colin, we had to introduce Eloise and their relationships with the rest of their family and the rest of the ton. We had to also introduce Violet. Like, we did a lot. We had to introduce all these other side characters, the Featheringtons, the daughters, the dad, the boxers. Like, we had to introduce a lot of people in one episode, and somehow it never felt rushed. Episodes 1 through 5 to me, perfection. And you want to know what else feels perfect? It feels like the perfect time to tell you that you should subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. It's also a perfect time for you to watch this video right over here where I tell you all of things that I cannot wait to see in Bridgerton season 3, guys. I'm so excited. But anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!